powering the future of Philippine energy and enriching the lives of Filipinos through sustainable social and environmental programs. This resources development company strives to make a substantial impact in building a stronger nation for every Filipino. I'm Pinky Webb, and this is Business Matters, where doing good is good business. An energized nation creates endless possibilities and opportunities for its citizenry. Economic development, job creation, infrastructure development, and most especially, high quality of life. All these things play a crucial role in the progress and success of a nation. For 2 decades, the pioneer in the country's natural gas industry has become a reliable partner in enriching the lives of Filipinos and powering the future of Philippine energy.
Prime Energy is the only operator in the country that produces natural gas. Natural gas is probably the cleanest source of energy we have now that's abundant enough to be able to power our power plants that deliver electricity to our consumers. The Philippines now is a growing country with such high demand for power, and so having the right fuel in place that would be environmentally more sustainable and less damaging than, say, liquid fuels or coal is very important to the country. So that's what we do. We're part of the Prime Infrastructure Capital group of companies. We've been in operation since 2001. We are involved indeed in production of natural gas, but we also are involved in exploration and development of new gas sources in the country. So we have a lot of reservoirs in the Philippines still waiting to be explored.
In its 20 years of operation, the Malampaya consortium with the Department of Energy has supported the country's energy security through a stable supply of cleaner energy from an indigenous resource and generated over $13 billion of significant revenues for the government. It truly is a marvelous story of power from a business standpoint. But the consortium operating the country's pioneering natural gas production is more than just powering a nation. It's also a champion of empowering people and helping protect the environment.
There are 2 or 3 areas of concern there that we are addressing that has a direct link to why we exist as a business. So number 1 is that we operate mostly on water, 70 to 80%. So the marine life in those areas belong to a greater ecosystem. That's where all our pipes are, right? So if we ensure that the currents and the quality of marine life in the waters are preserved, then we also ensure that the safety and integrity of our facilities there and the people who move in that area is also preserved.
With a mission to promote, foster, and encourage sustainable social, environmental, and economic development of communities in areas they operate in, Prime Energy and its joint venture partners are supported by their 2 social arms, namely Malampaya Foundation or MFI and Mindoro Biodiversity Conservation Foundation or MBCFI. Guided by the principles of sustainable development.
The Malampaya Foundation was formed by the Malampaya Joint Venture Partners in December 2005. The goal of the foundation is to work with the communities around the facilities of the Malampaya Gas Project, implement social development programs and conservation programs.
Why we do what we do is because we want to ensure that in the areas where we operate, the people who surround us and the people who provide us the services that we need and the people who provide their skills actually live in a situation where the environment is protected, they're comfortable, they continue to thrive, they have fishes that they can fish on and eat later on. So in the end, if we keep the communities around us thriving, the business also thrives. It's really a partnership.
marine biodiversity conservation, employment and self-employment generation, enterprise for conservation, cultural heritage, health and education. These are just some of the flagship programs of the foundations with a main thrust to empower people through capacity building, enabling productivity and environment conservation, anchored on building strong partnerships.
Pushing for change or pushing for collaboration without the help of the local government, then we won't have access to the people or the communities that may need the help. We have the capability, Malampaya. Government has the the knowledge and the mandate to implement things, and then we have the communities who actually have the needs. There needs to be a connection of all these pieces of the puzzle for the whole ecosystem to work. It's a change that has to be driven at all fronts, because if there's only one side of the whole ecosystem that cares, it won't work. We all have to care.
And with its programs that have the best interest for the environment and the community they operate in mind, Malampaya through MFI and MBCFI lays a solid foundation for empowered communities and a thriving local ecosystems.
Because everyone benefits from biodiversity. Without biodiversity, there's no life. It won't be able to support the population, our needs for food, materials. The environment is also the one that's protecting us from natural disasters, whether it's in the terrestrial or in the marine coastal areas. So it's important that we are part of the ecosystem. Humans are part of the ecosystem.
If we protect marine life, we also protect economic growth. If we ensure that the impact that we have on communities is managed in such a way that our communities understand what we do, we teach them, they help us protect the environment, they help us maintain our facilities safely, then we are able to create also the capability of our countrymen.
More than powering the nation, energy companies have a responsibility to mitigate social and environmental impacts in their areas of operation and contribute towards sustainable development of its fence-line communities.
Our thrust is really simple. We deliver to the energy needs of the country, but we do that in a way that's sustainable. And we want to ensure that we continue to develop our indigenous gas resources in such a way that we continue to supply clean energy to the country. We work with the communities to ensure that they understand what we do, and then they help us actually preserve the environment.
And through the foundations, Prime Energy and its joint venture partners UC38 LLC and the Philippine National Oil Company Exploration Corporation has taken great strides to support coastal communities, protect and conserve the marine environment through sustainable development programs that are anchored on partnerships, stewardships, and capacity building.
For the Marine Conservation Program, the wider program is in partnership now with the communities. So we work with them to implement grassroots-based interventions to restore, to manage their marine protected areas, monitor the conditions of marine ecosystems like mangroves, reefs, and corals.
Mangroves, or locally known as bakawans, play a crucial role to our marine ecosystem, serving as natural buffers against storms and tsunamis. Mangroves also play a vital role in supporting marine biodiversity by serving as a habitat for a variety of bird and fish species. The Puerto Galera Mangrove Conservation and Ecotourism Area in Oriental Mindoro boasts of a sprawling forest cover, truly a thriving ecosystem, bustling with life and energy. But this hasn't always been the case.
Nung una, itong mga bakawang ito, ginagawang panggatong, ginagawang mga Christmas tree. Yung mapapunta po kami dito, yung pala kailangan siyang i-conserve para sa environment.
Preserving the mangrove forest also was not the first priority of the residents before due to their thriving mining sector. But when it was shut down by the local government, the communities set back their eyes to one of their natural resources to address the livelihood gap, the mangrove forest.
Nasanay sila sa malaking kita, kaya hindi nila ito nagustuhan. Kasi dito, sir, nag-umpisa lang donation. Wala silang kinikita, umayaw sila.
While it proved challenging at first, the community eventually embraced the potential of their mangrove forest.
Si Malampaya Foundation, through the help of provincial government, ay nagtayo po sila ng dalawang people's organization, ang SPT ng Dulangan at ang TPJ-SKKM ng Tabinay. Kaya kami po ang naging co-management nito.
Yung unang-una po namin ginawa, sinukat po namin ito kung saan dadaan. Walang masasagasaang mangrove, walang puputulin para maitayo itong ating walkway. Ang problema nga lang ho, dahil halos mga 1 taon na hindi namin nagamit, na pakinabangan agad ito, nagpa-repair pa kami. Doon na ho pumasok ang Malampaya.
Thanks to the partnership between the Oriental Mindoro Provincial Government, Puerto Galera Local Government, Canada Fund, host communities, and the foundation, the mangrove forest has transformed into an ecotourism park, providing alternative income to community members, as well as support direct conservation actions for their community-managed marine protected area.
Lagi po kaming nasa seminar, sponsored by Malampaya. Nabigyan kami ng pinagkakakitaan.
The Foundation's program includes establishment and expansion of marine protected areas in North Palawan, Oriental Mindoro, and the Verde Island Passage in partnership with communities and local governments. Effectively managed marine protected areas does wonders to restore the biological productivity of marine ecosystems. To further support this effort is the propagation and restocking of endangered and locally extinct shell species.
The String of Pearls project is actually just one small component of our marine biodiversity conservation program. It's under the rehabilitation component, and the goal is to restock invertebrate shell species, bringing them back to the reefs because they have been heavily exploited in recent decades and they are fast disappearing from our reefs.
Due to over-extraction and unsustainable human activities, reef ecosystems have greatly been depleted and degraded in the past decades. This destruction has resulted in the decline of fish populations, affecting livelihoods of coastal dwellers. In 2013, the foundation partnered with the Western Philippines University in Palawan to restock well-managed reef areas with hatchery-produced juveniles or babies of shelled mollusks that are considered heavily exploited or endangered in Palawan and in the Philippine waters. The project is called the String of Pearls, coined by the late national scientist for marine science, Dr. Edgardo Gomez, among the foundation's former trustees.
Facility na to mainly is hatchery facilities. We are doing rearing from the fertilized egg to the juveniles of shellfishes like giant clams, abalone, and Trocos top shell.
For the past 10 years, the Western Philippines University in Palawan has worked with the Malampaya Foundation to support rehabilitation of reefs.
The abalone and Trocos are grazers in the coral reef ecosystem. They help the coral reefs grow with them grazing on seaweeds or the algae. And the giant clam is important as they filter a lot of water to make the water clean and prevent algal blooms.
And through this marine research station in Binduyan, Puerto Princesa facility in Palawan, local researchers and scientists work together in breeding and hatching endangered shelled mollusk species such as abalone and giant clam species that are to be restocked in strict protection zones of the Foundation's conservation partner communities once they mature.
Restocking is important because, especially in the case of giant clams, they are vulnerable. Their population is few in the wild and they cannot produce the next generation. So we have this intervention of restocking.
The local researchers and scientists carefully facilitate and monitor the breeding of the shelled mollusk species in this hatchery, boasting of a 90% success rate in the otherwise difficult task of reproducing the said endangered and heavily exploited species.
Ito po ang broodstock tank. Dito ang tank ng mga mother and father. Kaya mahirap silang mag-produce ng marami sa wild kasi dahil napaka-open ng sea natin, ang chances na magkikita yung egg and sperm ay very nil.
From the spawning tank, the hatched eggs are then moved to settling plates to further develop the growth of the cultured abalones.
So basically, itong tinatawag naming settling plates, dito sila didikit kasi usually ito ay napatubuan na ng maliliit yung pagkain nila. So yung mga dark spots, sila yung larvae or baby abalone.
The culturing of the abalone juveniles take about 8 to 10 months before they are harvested and released in reefs.
So dito na tayo sa older, and ito yung size na usually dinadala natin sa dagat or sa ating communities. Ito ay ready nang dalhin sa field, sa ating marine protected area.
The facility, also known for its capability to spawn a Tridacnagigas, a giant clam species that is a true Philippines native declared locally extinct in the 1980s.
Nandito yung ating nursery tank. Ito yung mga baby taklobo. Ito yung Tridacnagigas. Ito sila ay more than 1 year old na. At dadalhin natin sa marine protected area para mas lumaki sila at eventually ibalik sa coral reefs.
To help reproduce the species of the Tridacnagigas, the researchers inject a serotonin hormone solution to induce the reproduction process.
Mag-inject tayo ng hormone doon sa ating breeder. Usually 1 inch near the egg siphon current, yung opening. At tatamaan niya yung gonad nagko-contain ng egg and sperm. Yan, nag-react na agad siya. Mag-aantay tayo ng around 5 minutes para sa kanyang pagbuga ng sperm. Ayan, meron na siyang nilabas.
Once the Tridacnagigas released its eggs, the researchers then collect the samples and are placed inside a beaker. The eggs are then observed using a microscope for 9 days, then are stocked inside larvae rearing tanks. Upon reaching 3 to 5 centimeters, the baby clams are then transferred to ocean nurseries in effectively managed marine protected areas in northern Palawan. So too are the matured abalones. The shells are placed on plates inside a cage with enough sunlight to benefit the symbiotic algae that naturally nourishes the clams. Its growth and survival rates are then regularly checked by the researchers to ensure the success of the restocking initiative. And to make this rehabilitation project more sustainable, 2 initiatives were launched that aim to garner support from like-minded individuals and institutions who also champion marine conservation and protection.
So Adopt a Shell enables individuals and institutions to adopt individual shells so that the Western Philippines University, the people at the hatchery, can care for it better. Adopt a marine protected area enables individuals and institutions as well to adopt marine protected areas to give a boost to the people on the ground who are actually protecting, guarding, and managing the marine protected areas.
Protecting biodiversity is everyone's business. The Philippines is known to have the highest concentration of marine species richness per unit area in the world, making it the epicenter of biodiversity and evolution, as concluded by several studies. At the same time, it is also known as being the most highly threatened center of endemism, making conservation an urgent necessity in the country.
We are so grateful with Malampaya Foundation. For more than 10 years, they have been supporting us, giving us funding for our staff to maintain the facility and to work more towards marine conservation.
More than the environment conservation aspect, a major part of Malampaya Foundation's programs is supporting development of their partner communities through community-based capacity building and empowerment.
Everything is always a collaboration. The first question we need to ask ourselves is, what help do you need, right? So therefore, we need the information and the knowledge and the insights from the local government and from the communities themselves. So it's really like we're doing this together. This is really a team effort.
Through participative engagements, the foundation helps empower people's organizations and communities to become economically self-sufficient and sustainable.
So what we do, therefore, is to educate them and work with the local government, work with all the stakeholders to find ways where they can secure livelihoods elsewhere.
Coastal communities rely heavily on fishing as a means to their livelihood, so to reduce overfishing activities that lead to the degradation of marine ecosystems, the foundation provides enterprise development seminars and skills training programs to create alternative or supplemental sources of income. Like the Dulangan Conservation Enterprise in Puerto Galera, where residents produce various goods using available resources that are sold in local markets.
Pagka po kami may mga product na ginagawa, tapos pag nabenta po, nagkakaroon po kami ng income. Nagpapasalamat po nga kami sa Malampaya Foundation kasi nga po binigyan po nila kami ng training, seminar.
In Barangay Tumbod, Taytay, Palawan, the program has partnered with a local people's organization supporting alternative livelihoods through provision of livestock for farming as well as tools to help augment their family's income.
Yung binigyan ako ng makina, pag hindi makalaot yung asawa ko, malaking tulong din sa akin kasi nagatahi ako ng kurtina, punda, minsan nagatahi ako ng basahan.
Park rangers play a crucial role in safeguarding protected areas. To equip them for an important task, the foundation built enforcement outposts with partners and provided incentives for rangers in the Malampaya Sound Protected Landscape and Seascape in Taytay, Palawan.
Napakalaking bagay nang nagkaroon kami ng ranger station dito sa aming lugar na to. Isa pa po dyan, sa amin din po mga job order, uniform. Mayroon pa nga po kaming 2 sakong bigas yearly.
As well as for the park rangers and bantay dagats in the El Nido Taytay Managed Resource Protected Area, Palawan.
Ang ginagawa ko po bilang bantay dagat, nagkakandak po kami ng patrol araw at gabi dito sa area ng sanctuary. Ang naitulong po ng Malampaya, binibigyan nila kami ng incentives. Pero sa samahan namin, nagbigay din sila ng kayak bilang starting namin.
El Nido, Palawan boasts of a bustling tourism thanks to its karst limestone formations. And to enjoy partner people's organizations in such training sector, the foundation provided them with kayaks, for an ecotourism enterprise as incentive for their conservation actions and augment their livelihood.
We have 13 community managed areas. With the help of the Malampaya Foundation, we were able to expand yung mga CMMAs namin para rin po na identified ng mga communities para rin po sa kanilang food resources bawat community.
Malaking bagay po ang Malampaya Foundation. Kung wala po sila, wala kaming alam dyan. We know nothing about Lake Coastal Cleanup. Without the Malampaya Foundation, walang nabago sa Barangay Tumbon.
Nabigyan po kami ng livelihood, nagsimula sa ibinigay ng Malampaya, 6 na kayak po. Yung kayak na yun, 2015, doon nagsimula kaming mag-business. Ngayon, sa kita namin doon, ang kayak namin ngayon, 42 lahat. So, nanggaling na yan doon sa kita ng kayak namin.
Striking a balance between social, economic, and the environment to achieve sustainable development has been at the forefront of Malampaya's development and operations from the start. The consortium, now composed of Prime Energy, UC38 LLC, and PNOC EC, together with the Department of Energy, maintains this commitment to continue working with local stakeholders to support protection and conservation of marine ecosystems in their areas of operation and contribute to the social well-being in the lives of partner communities in the process.
The Malampaya Foundation is basically coterminous with the gas project. So as long as we are allowed to operate, then we'll be there to continue our goals and objectives. We will continue to work with communities and the local governments, national agencies, and other local NGOs.
Malampaya Foundation is gonna stay. I anticipate that the more scientific and research side of things will be built up a little bit more as we try and focus on the biodiversity side of things while we continue to stabilize and ensure sustainability of our existing programs.
By leading through example and best practices, we can achieve the bright future we desire, as long as there is integrity, equality, and humility in all of our actions to do good. Join us again next week as we share more inspiring stories of communities and people whose lives have changed for the better. For comments, suggestions, and updates, do follow us on our social media accounts. I'm Pinky Webb, and this is Business Matters, where doing good is good business.